Hello and welcome to what I hope to be the first in a series of features examining some of the more bizarre films that I've seen from over the years. So, for my first review in this series, we take a look at the 1990 British comedy horror film I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle. Motorcycle enthusiast Nick Oddie, or Noddy to his friends, buys an old Norton motorcycle from a second-hand dealer, only to find that the bike isn't all that it appears to be. He first realises that something isn't quite right when he goes to take it out for a spin and finds that it will only start up after dark. He then discovers the bike clearly has a mind all of its own, as it forces him to plough straight through a biker gang, running them off the road in the process. It turns out that members of this gang killed the bike's previous owner whilst in the middle of a satanic ritual, and it is now possessed by a spirit and out for revenge. Soon afterwards, members of the gang start dying under mysterious and exceptionally gruesome circumstances, along with anybody else that happens to cross its path. As Noddy's bike has been spotted at the scene of several of the crimes, both the police and the biker gang think that he has something to do with it and decide to have words with him, leading to a series of farcical confrontations between him and the two groups. But with the bike continuing to run amok on its own and bodies piling up in its wake, Noddy tries enlisting the help of a local priest to try and exorcise the evil spirits from it, in the hopes that it will finally stop its murderous rampage.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Released back in 1990, the film's origins lie very much in the popular British TV series Boone, which had a similar theme following the comical exploits of a motorcycle courier firm. The show ran on British TV from the mid-80s through to the early 90s, and it was between the filming of series 3 and 4 that the cast and crew got together and decided to make a horror film. Those old enough to remember the show will undoubtedly recognise Neil Morrissey, who played Rocky in the series, whilst Michael Elphick, who was the title character, turns up here as a police detective. Other Boone cast members can be spotted in minor roles, such as David Dacre, who plays the desk sergeant, and Teddy Thompson, who has a role as a nurse. Being a low-budget film, many of the other cast members were made up of friends and family of the crew. Noddy's girlfriend Kim, for example, was played by Neil Morrissey's real-life partner at the time, Amanda Knorr, whilst for the role of the priest, they managed to get in Star Wars actor Anthony Daniels, as he happened to be friends with the director. To save on money, they also rather cheekily borrowed many of Boone's filming locations, which had been hired out by the TV company, but weren't being used at the time. Sharper-eyed viewers will notice that Noddy's house in the film was the same building used for the company offices for Boone Series 3. They also enlisted the help of a couple of local motorcycle clubs to play many of the bikers, as it was far easier and cheaper to do so than hiring actors. The film had a limited theatrical run in the early 90s, but proved only moderately successful. It fared much better upon its home video release, garnering something of a cult status, but sadly, the film seems to get largely overlooked these days, which I think is a great pity. Despite its low budget and corny premise, the film is actually bloody good fun, though it's really more of a comedy than a horror, although that's not to say that it doesn't have its fair share of gory moments. The killings are quite bloody in places, but are done in a very slapstick manner, in a similar style to some of Peter Jackson's earlier films like Bad Taste. There's also a hilarious fight scene set in a medieval theme pub, where Noddy and his girlfriend are confronted by the biker gang, not to mention a completely bizarre sequence involving a talking poo that was years ahead of South Park. The film has since found its way onto DVD, though the German release has been titled Armed Thunder for some strange reason. Now, the best version to go for at present, if you can get hold of it that is, appears to be the UK Special Edition from MIA, which comes packed with a whole stack of features including an interesting retrospective documentary and TV interviews that were taken from the film's premiere back in 1990. Sadly though, this release seems to be out of print at the moment, so may prove a little problematic in tracking down. But even if you can't get hold of that release, there are other versions available, and I would still recommend checking this out regardless. So if you love corny horror comedies or tacky 70s B-movies, then you should love this one.
My baby wears leather and chrome. She calls the highway her home. She's such a lethal machine. She runs on blood instead of gasoline.
Right. Let's go and kick some bottom.